Hey, welcome back to the channel. We have just wrapped up the 2025 competitive season here in the Z-League Discord server, and just like we've done in previous years, we've put together a little bit of a slideshow to just kind of break down like a recap of the year and moving forward what to expect in the 2026 season, any changes, anything that we should talk about, whatever. This slideshow is a little bit long, so I'm just going to get right into it. We just received all of your survey responses, and that was all calculated and considered before making any of these decisions. We really wanted to know what you guys thought of certain things before we went in any specific directions or anything. So, without further ado, just a quick recap of the 2025 season. So we just finished up Worlds 2025. We have a new world champion in Anthony. He took down Chuck in the finals. Great set of games. This year for Worlds we did, it's slightly different than last year. Last year we had two separate events, a standard event and a tough enough event. There was a top cut for each, and then the winner of each of those two events played it out in the finals. This year we thought that there was something a little bit strange about that. Like, to be a Worlds caliber player, you should be good at both of the formats we play here, standard and tough enough. Last year, because there were two separate top cuts, you could go like 0-5 in tough enough and 5-0 in standard, then win out your standard top cut, losing literally every tough enough game you played, and then make it to the finals of Worlds, having lost every round of one type of format. That just feels a little strange. Doesn't feel like you're truly a world champion if you can't be good at both. So this year we did still the separate tough enough and separate standard Swiss events, but then after Swiss we combined them into one top cut, and then that top cut played out a standard top 8 to a finals. We thought here that went much better. I think it really did do a good job of reflecting players being skillful in both formats, needing to do well with both of their decks. You couldn't really just coast on the performance of one of your decks. So I think that was great. I think that all did everything it should do. As for the format for the year, we did do that a little bit differently than some previous years too, but this one was pretty similar to last year's, where Worlds was open, anyone could attend, and we just did some, you received power level points for every win that you got throughout the year in each event. If you won an event, you got extra points, whatever. And then at the end of the number of main events we did, you would receive a round 1 bye in Worlds based on the power level that you achieved. If there were like a certain number of players, it'd be the top 2 people. If it was more than that, top 4, etc., whatever. We think that went swimmingly too, so that all did kind of exactly the same thing it did last year and felt just as good. Speaking of things that were just as good, we had our second Midwest Melee at my home store here at First Turn Games in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Also went fantastic. This year I think almost was better than the first year. It was just so nice to get to see everyone in person again. It really felt like a community this time. The first year it was cool and it was nice to like meet everybody, but this year it was like getting to see everyone again, and the emotions were just up. It was awesome. Super good time. A bunch of us got together after the event, went out for dinner. That was really fun too. Just great. So I could not be happier with how Midwest Melee went this year. I could not be happier with the format for the regular main events that we did throughout the year, and I think Worlds went great too. Getting into the 2026 season, I want to talk about power level a little bit first. So one of the things that has been brought up is that one of the things we were doing is we were awarding extra power levels based on getting overkills in Tough Enough. This felt important to us because Tough Enough overkills were important back in the day, and they're like a unique aspect to that format. But however, unlike real overkills, we're not going to like kick you out of a tournament for getting overkilled. That feels really bad. But we were trying to find some way to award that. But what was happening is that there are people who would find that, oh, I could win this turn, but if I wait one more turn and go in next combat, I might actually get the overkill, and then so they were just like trying to kind of like game for points. And that's cool, like that's a thing that can be done when the format's like that, but it meant that players weren't playing their like just best game and getting a little reward for if an overkill happened. They were like gaming for it, which isn't exactly what we wanted people to feel like they had to do. There were other things that were a little strange, like a player might win an event, or even 2 or 3, and then someone might get a bunch of overkills throughout the year and still be doing better than the person who has like won more events than them because the overkills were giving them more points. So for the 2026 season, we've decided that there will not be extra points for overkills. Tough Enough events and standard events will both have the same power level output. It will be equated across both events. But we're going to keep a running overkill tracker throughout the season because we do still want to reward overkills for happening. We just don't want them to feel as relevant in the particular game. But at the end of the season, the person with the most overkills will get some kind of prize. It'll be something, it won't be like a huge money card or anything like crazy, but like we'll put something together. Maybe you get a Tough Enough card to go with like the World's card, or maybe you get just some kind of like little poster. Like it could be anything. We'll figure that out as the time comes. But we've decided that will still like reward the overkills, but it will keep people from feeling like they're compelled to push for them. As for the main event format itself in the 2026 season, based on the votes that you guys wanted to do, it looks like the most of you really wanted to go with 4 long events, 4 short events to still kind of have our same 8 like we did this year. That's what we'll do. We're putting that schedule together now, so be on the lookout for that, and we'll have announcements for the first event coming right up. But just be prepared for 4 long, 4 short. They'll still do the kind of alternating standard, tough enough thing that we had done in the past. As for side events, which you saw that we did a bunch of those this year, those will continue to be supported by Nick P. He's done great with running those. He has been using Octagon to encourage people to play in them, using like various special formats and rules to try to mix up the like play experience. This most recent one that he did was like a Panini style rules, which completely changes the way the game plays, but was really fun to like deck build for and strategize around. So continue to expect that kind of thing as the year goes on. It doesn't, though, have to just be Nick hosting these. He has just taken the reins on doing so. But if you have an event you want to run, feel free to do so. Obviously, please let me know that you want to do it, and I'll make sure that it works out. But we're perfectly fine with anybody hosting an event. Just try not to do it at the same time as another event's going on. We can work together to schedule that stuff to come up with the best events. I know we have people in the league who have pitched some of their own ideas that have been great, and we just haven't really gotten around to doing or anything. If you have an idea that you think is awesome and you want to run it, just let me know and let's do it. So that takes us then to the last thing on the primer for 2026, Midwest Melee. Midwest Melee 2 was awesome. First Turn has once again said that we were great guests. You guys were awesome. You cleaned up after yourselves. You didn't make a mess. Didn't bother the staff in any, egregious way or anything. So they're super happy to have us back. They have also just renovated their play space almost entirely. They've added 2 full new adjacent stores they've taken over, and the store is now 3 stores wide. So it's gigantic. So we'll have plenty of space to play. I have this thing here that says more events. I know that there have been a couple of you who have expressed wanting to kind of host your own kind of in-person events. We are, of course, more than excited to have that happen too. I'm sure that Score Warriors Gather will probably do something again too. I'd assume both of their events went great, so I'd assume they'll do another. That'd be great. We talked last year, myself and the Minty Card Co guys, about allowing NZ and stuff like that for even just a secondary tournament or something like that. Obviously, I don't know if that'll go anywhere or what we'll do with it. Maybe that stays their own thing. Who knows? But just expect there to be, at least a Midwest Melee, probably a Score Warriors Gather. And then if any of you put something together, cool. Maybe we'll get around to doing something for Gen Con this year. I go every year, so like I could probably put something together, but we'll see if maybe that works out. But yeah, just kind of if hosting something live is something you'd like to do, let the group know, let myself know, and we can try to piece something together. One of the things that was mentioned in the surveys, as well as just colloquially in conversation in the league Discord itself, is just like a little bit more clarity on who does what within the league, like leadership. So I just put a little slide here together to kind of cover like the staff that we've got. So as far as like league organization goes, that's just kind of like planning events, planning the yearly schedule, planning like this kind of presentation, what have you. That's myself, Zach, James Sawyer, Nick, and then Mike Davis, who all of these people you guys well know by this point, but I kind of confer with all of these guys as far as making like overarching league decisions. I would, if there was something we would call like a players council in other card games, this would be the team I would call that. As far as the design team for making the NZ cards themselves, it has been myself, Zach, and James since NZ3. James and I did NZ1 and 2. Zach kind of stepped in with 3 and 4, and then kind of has been on board since. As far as playtesters go, Nick P has been around for a ton of them and has kind of fully taken the reins on being like the biggest representative of that team. So he's what we kind of call our lead tester. He does an incredible job of like scheduling games, keeping the rest of the playtest team like on their toes about getting games in and getting their reports turned in, stuff like that. We have recently added Brad to the team, who has been great. David and Mark have been around for a couple of sets as well and have been doing a great job. Kevin, who you guys know as well, was on for a number of sets. He took the last set off. Everyone, is obligated to a break when they feel they need one, but he is back joining the roster again going forward. I called this next sort of tab media and marketing, or media and market. So media-wise, it's myself and Nick, as you know, who make the most of the YouTube videos and stuff like that on the channel. You will see Zach posts a couple of his own here and there too. But it could also be you, if any of you are interested in like being involved in videos, I'm happy to have like more people on to have conversations with. You saw in the past, there was like a video that we put out where Kevin built a deck through Octagon and just kind of walked you through his process. If that's something, like that you've got something that you think could be an interesting video, and you want to be involved in, just reach out to me and we can make a video work. It doesn't have to just be Nick and I that do the videos themselves. We just happen to get on a call and make them. So if you want to be a little more involved, let us know and we can work that out too. As far as the sort of league store, that's going to continue to be Mike Davis. He has been paramount in that for every year that this league has been a thing. He has a huge amount of cards with incredible prices. You can order whole decks for him, whatever you want to do. Great dude, and continues to be an incredible asset. Another thing that's been like a little bit of I don't want to say like contention, but it's just been a little unclear over the last year, is just getting like an answer when you have judge questions, rules questions, or judge questions specifically, getting an answer and knowing like exactly who can give you those answers and whose answers you should consider law and stuff like that. So we put together kind of like an official sort of judge structure going forward. So as far as like level 1 judges, these are the judges that you should consider like the average judge. If you were in the middle of the game and called a judge, these would be the judges that you should expect to speak to. Zach, Nick, and James. James has been one of the judges in the group since the group got judges, but he has, he works third shift and stuff, so sometimes he is not up at the same time during the day that other people are and things like that. So sometimes it's been a little tough to get like an answer from just the one person. So we've added Nick and Zach to that as well. Both of them, they both help with designing cards and with designing and testing sets. I trust both of their knowledge on rules and mechanics of the game. And like myself, both of them are online all the time, so they should both be very prompt at getting you an answer. So if you're in the middle of a game, you have a rules question, you go ask the judge, expect one of these three people to be able to quickly get you an answer. If they respond to you, assume that that is the correct judge ruling and, proceed with your game from there. If you feel like in your heart of hearts that the ruling you're given by one of these judges is just incorrect, or you think there's more to it, whatever, we obviously have a way to kind of appeal that. In that case, we'll move on to what we'd call a level 2 judge. That's going to be Nick Lore, who you will also know has been around forever. He is not as present as far as playing and stuff in the league these days, but he does still have a encyclopedic knowledge of rules in this game, as well as historic rulings and things like that too, to help with really complex things that come up because of the nature of the CRD and things in this game. So if we need to kind of rope in a higher answer, we'll get in touch with Nick. If you can't proceed with your game based on a level 1 judge response, we'll try to get Nick involved. If we can't, we'll kind of go with the level 1 judge ruling, and then we can talk about it afterward and kind of get it figured out for next time. But that's just sort of how, judging works with other games and stuff too. So we just kind of make do with what we got. And then kind of at the top of the tree, we've got myself, the tournament organizer. I run the league or whatever. So, and kind of everything comes up to me at the end. I will, of course, let the judges make their calls and stuff. But if it came to Zach or Nick or James couldn't get a answer that you were happy with at the time, I am also online all the time. So I may also chime in to answer your questions as they pop up. Or if Nick Lore, if it were escalated to Nick and he still needed further help, or maybe it's an NZ thing where he's what is the intent you had here? I know how it might kind of rule, but what did you mean for it to do? That kind of thing would come to me, and I'll make a final call if it came to that. More often than not, it won't. The level 1 judges should handle 99% of your questions. Lore will take care of the truly obscure ones, and if it really gets in the reads where we just have to pull a trigger and make a call, it'll come to me. That takes me to gameplay etiquette. I want to talk a little bit about too. You guys have been mostly great about this lately, so some of this is kind of unnecessary, but I wanted this to be included in the video in case we got any new players for the season, or even just if you need a little bit of a refresher or whatever on just kind of getting your ducks in a row on how to truly make this experience as good as we can. First, I want to talk about proxies. So in this league, we are fully proxy friendly. I never at any point want to fight your wallet. I want to fight your skill as a player, so you will never be required to own physical cards. Some of the most important cards in this game are hundreds and hundreds of dollars, if not more. That will never be something that you have to do as part of the Z League experience. But because we are playing on webcam, we do ask that your proxies be, as good as they can be. They should be in color, they should be full-sized, they should be scans of the original cards. The cards that you see, they should immediately be identifiable as the card that it is. As you can see in the featured image here, everything is crystal clear. There are a couple of cards on the playmat on the right. There's a Super Saiyan 3 Goku card kind of right in the middle of the table. That's a Victorious drill that we released as an alt-art promo. And down below it, there's that card with Hit. That's another card that's got a battle pausing. That's got a alternate art as well. So there's just a couple of different things that we've released that will be different, but you can tell what each of these cards is. As you're thumbing through them quickly, you should be able to identify right away what a card is. So we ask that you don't have some like third of a card as your whole proxy. Like, make sure that it's the right size for the sleeve, or at least pretty close. I know some of the cards that you pull from like retro have like a little bit of white border around them or whatever. That's still fine, but try to make them look as presentable as you can, so that it is at least easy for your opponent to play the game. The fact that you're using proxies should elevate the play experience to make sure everyone's able to use all the cool stuff. It shouldn't hinder the experience by making it hard to tell what you're doing. Also, with the art and things like that too, with these proxies, like I said, make sure that they are like scans of the card themselves. I know there are a couple of places where you can get kind of like a rebuild of the card as well. Most of these are pretty approved, where they are like the same art, even the same like template. They're just kind of like someone has recently like high def'd them or something. This kind of thing is mostly acceptable, but it should be, if you just set like, the player on the right is myself, is playing Bardock, so my opponent's hand is revealed. On the playmat on the right there, the 4 cards in the back are their hand. I can tell you the cards that are in their hand from here. I'm sure you can too, and that's because those are full-size proxies with the correct art. That's, I can't read the names from here, but that's okay, because the art's the immediately identifiable part anyway. So just don't try to bring like custom arts or stuff like that. It just clutters up the space for making things as identifiable as possible. Playing over webcam can already be kind of difficult, so just try to mitigate the number of things that can be conflicting as much as we can. I want to talk a little bit about player experience then to go with that. A little bit of that I just kind of covered, just making it easy for your opponent to play you. But also, this is for fun. It's a hobby. Like, it is a competitive thing. We have like events and winners and stuff, but like, it is for fun. We are just adults here playing with like our nostalgic cards, having a good time. So try to remember that. Try to stay, in good spirits as much as you can. I know sometimes, no one wants to lose, but like, the worst feeling in the world is like when your opponent makes you have a bad time and they like ruin your win for you because of they're complaining or something. It's fine to like be upset about how like something happened or whatever, but there are constructive ways to have that conversation too. Just don't let your like frustration with your play or with RNG or whatever like sour your opponent's experience. It sucks that you lost, and I'm sorry, but your loss shouldn't make your opponent not have fun. So just make sure that you keep that in mind. Also too, try not to like after a game go like immediately to the group like Discord and just be like, herder, this guy's deck is broken, blah blah blah. Like, don't do that. Like, let's not be those guys. Like, if a card is legal, it is fair game to play. No one should be like chastised for playing a deck that they want to use. Don't like team gang up on someone who's playing their favorite deck and make them feel bad to like where they have to stop playing or something. That obviously should never be the thing. If there's something that's that big of a deal that you would feel compelled to like, hey, you shouldn't play that, it's broken. Like, if that's a thing that really is a true experience, then we should talk about the card and like addressing it and see if it, if that actually is accurate. If it's warping the meta space, we can address it. But don't just like chastise someone into not playing the thing they want to do. To go with that, pace of play, just like, keep things moving. We don't have a timer here or anything, but sometimes score games can run a little long, and webcam games can run a little long. And so if you're not being, prompt and deliberate with your decisions, games can really drag, and play experience goes down a lot when like slow play gets involved. If there are things that you're doing that are holding up the pace of the game, if you're not making like meaningful game progressing actions, if you're just kind of like asking your opponent what's in their discard pile every 2 seconds, stuff like that. Like, it's just really obnoxious. It makes like the play experience not great. So just like try to keep that in mind. And then that's not to say you can't ask your opponent what's in their discard piles. It's like incredibly relevant what's in there, and sometimes you like have to go through and you have to know. And it's webcam, so it's important that you can see and take the time to know what every card is and stuff. But like, there are times where you can take too long, and it's like, well, you're clearly not making any better decision now or in 2 minutes. So like, just do it. Don't hold everyone up. Don't like fake it, for card effects that you like can't even be doing. If there's, if you're like, I don't know, say you had all 3 of your Trunks energy spheres like in your discard pile, and your opponent plays a Time as a Warrior's Tool, and you're like, maybe I'll stop. I don't know. Like, you can't. Your spheres are gone. Like, I know you can't sphere this. Let's just keep moving. So just keep that kind of thing in mind. It just keeps the game as like fresh and fast. Dragon Ball is a speedy show. Trying to make the game feel like the IP should be part of the experience. I want to talk then a little bit about using Octagon in game. So obviously, the use of Octagon, we do like recommend that you install Octagon if you haven't, especially with all the new cards that we made. There are 340 something NZ cards that exist. That's a lot of cards. That's almost all of Saiyan Saga and Frieza Saga together. So like, there are plenty of cards, even in the map there, in bottom right corner of the right map, Heroic Deeds. You might have never seen that card in your life. So if I try to play it, you can ask me to read it to you, and I should, speaking of player experience, I should be deliberate in telling you exactly what it does and how it works, read you every word on it, be crystal clear. But sometimes it helps just to be able to pull it up and look at it real quick. You are, of course, allowed to do so if you have Octagon pulled up during the game. If I say, okay, I'm going to play Heroic Deeds, and you're like, okay, hang on a second, let me pull it up. Heroic Deeds. Okay, read. Okay, I know what it does now. Here we go, let's go. That's good. That's encouraged. You should know what the cards your opponent is using against you are doing, so that you have, the best knowledge you can when making your play decisions. But we shouldn't be using Octagon to try to like reverse engineer your opponent's deck like beforehand or something, or like digging into looking up cards that they could maybe have or something. That's sort of like, Score isn't a game, at least historically, where you like could take notes, but in games where you can, a lot of them, there's sort of like this blank paper rule. You can bring like a blank piece of paper and a pen, and you can write down stuff as you play. So if you like 18 stare down your opponent, you can like write down what's in their hand. That's fine. But you can't have like written down in advance like what you should side deck against, what black decks might have in them. You can't have a non-blank piece of paper when you sit down at the table. And using Octagon to kind of like do that sort of searching does kind of encroach on that space. So just be like cognizant of what that's for. Octagon should best be used just to like help with clarifying text. I know there's a ton of cards in this game with erratas and stuff. Score was abundant at that. So like, it's perfectly fine to look up a card and make sure that the text that you're using is right. That's fine. But don't be like digging through it to see what your opponent might name off their freestyle mastery or something like that. Like, that just is not what it's not what it's for. It's not the... You're encroaching on like outside help at that point, and that just isn't quite... That isn't what we should be wanting out of our game. If that's something you're gonna do, I can't prove you're doing it or anything, so like, it's not something we can enforce. It's not like a hard rule or whatever, but like, if you're gonna do that, it shouldn't be delaying the game, and that comes right back into pace of play. Just make sure that the game is moving. If I have to sit here and like wait for you to like dig through Octagon to find something I don't think you should be finding anyway, we run into an issue. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, most of you, almost all of you, everyone is doing a really good job of this. We've brought up the gameplay space etiquette and stuff. Like the webcam setup here that we have below both of these players, you can see what's on the table. Everything is clear. You can see that my deck on the left here, my layout of MP at the bottom, middle, Sensei to the left, Mastery to the right, drills above it. That's different than the playmat on the right, where they have their MP and Mastery and Sensei at the top of the screen, drills below it. That's fine. I should at least just be able to see when I look at your screen what everything is and what it means. It's obvious to me, both of these play setups, their cards are in different spots, but there aren't really zones in this game, but I can tell you what their MP is, what their Mastery is, where their drills are, what cards are in play, what cards aren't, where their discard pile's at. That stuff should all be crystal clear. Alright, so out of the how to play nice in the league segment of the presentation here, like I said, you're all doing a good job of that. Just wanted it kind of included for anyone who might stumble onto this as the year goes on. Getting into what to expect for the rest of the year for 2026 and the competitive space. Last year we had a couple cards hit the ban list. This year we've got a ban list tab. What's on the ban list this year? Nothing. Well, nothing banned at least. There really isn't anything in the format right now that is truly crippling the game, at least from a sense to where it would have to be banned and couldn't be addressed in any other way. So luckily we don't have anything we have to talk about here. That said, we are going to make one change. We are going to restrict Orange Focusing Drill to 2 per deck. This is kind of a big one. Orange MBS, though, has continued to be incredible. It took Worlds this year, it took Worlds last year. It will likely still continue to be great. Every time that it shows up, it is dominant. And it is the consistency with Orange Focusing Drill and this Mastery that causes this to be such an issue. Discarding a Focusing Drill to go get a Focusing Drill and something else, and then end of turn putting that same Focusing Drill back in your deck. The loop is just so hard to get out of. It's so difficult to overcome. We have made multiple cards trying to answer ways to get non-combats off the table, and as you can see from the results, every time an Orange MBS deck gets played, it still just isn't enough. Also, Focusing Drill's presence, orange is the drill color, that's the thing it does. But because Focusing Drill is so good, especially with Orange MBS specifically, it really limits design space for making cool orange drill support in other ways. We have to really kind of tiptoe around doing the thing the color already wants to do, because that combo of cards, Focusing Drill and the Mastery, is just borderline broken. It's been arguably the best deck for 20 years and has continued to be. Every time someone brings it out, it continues to overperform. So we've decided this year to try making this change to 2 copies. The idea behind this is that now, if they discard one to go get one and another copy with their Mastery effect, they get a discard a Focusing Drill, go grab a Focusing Drill and some other drill. Fine. There's the loop. They did it. End of turn, they put the Focusing Drill back in their deck. Cool. They still did the loop. Now, at least, if you find a way as the player facing an Orange MBS deck to get rid of one of the Focusing Drills, the loop stops, and you now have the ability to play into the deck. The deck is still obviously going to be it's still going to be good. The effectiveness of that Mastery getting its drills back, if you discard one, getting to put it back in your deck and then fetch it again later, continues to be good, even if it's not Focusing Drill that is the one they're grabbing. And they still have 2 copies of it to try to use. So we think this will help with this direction. There was some discussion of maybe we get rid of the effect on the Orange MBS Mastery that says you get to rejuvenate the top drill. We don't really want to do we try to want to avoid erratas where we can on scorecards. Bans or restricteds are much more what we'd prefer as opposed to changing the text. But we really don't want to change a mastery. So we were like, okay, well, if we can't change the mastery, focusing drill is the thing I think we have to address. So going forward, for at least the first part of the 2026 season, we're going to look at having focusing drill at 2 copies. Now, we are going to kind of watch list this to see how this impacts the playability of the Orange MBS deck. We have, there's various things that we can do. If this proves to be still not enough, we can address things further. If this proves to have over course corrected, there's things we could do. We could unlimit caught off guard drill, because now you have less cycle to have to fight through to beat the deck. Maybe caught off guard drill is fine to bring back. So there's just different things we could try moving forward. So we'll check again in 6 months, kind of the midway year mark. We'll see if this is how this is feeling, and we'll kind of make some calls from there. But for now, we're going to go with 2 copies of Orange Focusing Drill. That is it for score-related hits for the year. We have a few cards, NZ cards, that are going to get little bits of erratas, and I'm going to go kind of quick through some of these here. This first page, these are all super simple erratas. So Super Saiyan Retaliation was a combat card. It's been changed to an energy combat card. It was originally an energy combat, but its effect was much better. Then the effect was powered way down, and then it was made a combat, which made it spherable, and it just kind of turned it into an unplayable block. Now, making it an energy combat again will at least redeem some of its playability and should hopefully make it a little more desirable as a card. Same with Black Foreboding Weather. That card was a combat, but has now been made an energy combat card as well. This, in the same set that Black Foreboding Weather came out, we printed a Black Calamity Mastery, and this block didn't work with the Mastery in the same set that it came out in. And at the time, that was a little bit intentional because we were trying to avoid some of the kind of combos you might do with that. But really, it just feels strange, and it makes this block feel pretty unplayable in the state that it was in. Making it energy combat means that it will be playable with the Mastery it was printed with, and should increase its viability within your block suite. Of course, Black already has an incredible amount of blocks, so it'll be tough to find space for this, but it might now find its way into Black Calamity, which makes a lot more sense. Celestial Halo has been switched to a combat card from a non-combat. This is going to help, I think, just kind of keep it around a little bit longer, make it a little harder to remove, and make the attached effect of your opponent having, or you having 4 levels for your opponent's MPPV effects, that'll be a little more consistent now. A lot of times what would happen is you would do this, and before you even get to do anything, your opponent has just West-Kai'd it away, and they just enter and they West-Kai this and your Grand Kai right away, and it's gone. That feels really bad. So having it as a combat will hopefully make it a little bit more playable and a little bit better experience to use, especially now that we've made so many more World Celestial Fighter support cards in this most recent NZ set. Hopefully that will help. Red Colossal Flame used to attach to your opponent's MP, and while it was attached to them, your MP gained anger and stages. The idea was that you would use Red Colossal Flame to catch them on fire, and while they were on fire, you gained a benefit. But just reading the card was a little bit confusing. We have had a ton of people say okay, so when this is attached to my opponent's MP, are they gaining anger? And no. So now it attaches to your MP, which just makes the card crystal clear. It has no actual mechanical difference, but it does make the card usage more clear. Videl the Hellion has had her PUR increased to 2 from 1. The 1 PUR was there because that was the PUR that the retro Videl had, and this card was basically a straight port of that one. But as we've made the new support card for her, and leaning more into the kind of heroic package, you start to run into some more energy attacks and things like that, and having just that difference of 1 PR to 2 means that she can be a little bit more in the game, and just keeps her a little bit more viable more often. It's not a huge change, but it's at least enough to let her go from doing nothing in a turn to doing one thing if she was at 0 to start. So it just feels, it's just nice to have access to, and it is just a tiny bump that should push her a little bit more into the line of where we'd like her to feel. Blue Assault Cannon is one more card that has like a tiny change. It used to do exactly the same thing it does now, but the last sentence on the card says raise your anger 1. That used to kind of be buried in the center of the text. It used to be an attack that raised your anger 1, and then for the rest of combat, when you did an attack that raised your anger, you prevented damage, but then this card didn't trigger itself. And so it was just kind of a weird, like, stuttery combo. Now, this is an attack that does damage, and then when you play a card that raises your anger, you prevent damage, and then this card raises your anger, so it will trigger itself. It just makes it more clear with the effect that it has and makes it more versatile with what it's doing. 2 big changes. Black Negation has been changed from your opponent shuffles their hand into their deck and draws 1 less. It is now just a simple, your opponent discards a card from their hand. It is their choice, it's not random. They get to just choose a card. Now this obviously does mean that it combos now with like buffer block, which is its own kind of, concern, but if your opponent is grabbing a sphere off of their buffer block as opposed to like a body destruction or a chaos debt or something, most of the time you're pretty happy about that anyway. So that isn't a huge concern for us. The bigger thing was the number of times that you would enter combat, play something, then your opponent would Black Negation, shuffle your whole hand back into your deck, and the whole reason you entered combat now is just gone. And you draw cards, and you're like, oh, now I'm dead. And just the number of times Black Negation could just end the game because of resetting the hand was a huge thing. So that's one that we wanted to kind of power down just a little bit. As far as powering up, King Vegeta Transformed, the level 3, has been juiced up a little bit. He used to have an attack that did plus 4 stages of damage, but he's in Z, so plus didn't make a lot of sense because it was always just 2. So we just changed that to just a flat 6 all the time. Really, that just means if he's at 0, he does a little bit more damage. Cool. He no longer searches for an ally when he uses the attack. So that's a little bit worse, but he has now gained, through his parenthetical, the access to his level 2 constant combat power, which just lets your Saiyan allies take control of combat all the time. This used to be an issue where you would get to the level 3, and for your allies to be able to take control of combat, you had to have done your attack first. And that was that just made him kind of difficult to use. He didn't quite just the timing of getting the effect to trigger just made it difficult to like be the sort of heritage lord that he was supposed to be. So what it ended up feeling like was most of the time your 3 was worse than your 2. And it was almost like you got punished if you got leveled to 3. So we didn't want that to quite be the case. So now he just kind of continues the thing his level 2 does, which is his bread and butter, but now also is an attack. And then your non-Saiyan allies can take control of combat. So your Saiyans are fine beforehand, but if you have non-Saiyan allies, they are turned on after the use of this attack, which just brings them a little more in line with kind of the desired function. A new one, Glorio Draws Steel, just came out in the last set. This card has just had the damage modifier removed from it. It used to do extra damage if you picked 4 or less cards from your opponent's discard pile. 5 or less cards. So what ended up happening is most of the time, so that was supposed to be like, oh, I used Glorio Draw Steel, but I didn't have everything I wanted to hit that I could, so as a little bit of a consolation prize, I get to do a little bit extra damage. But the way it was actually being used is people were just intentionally not hitting the full threshold of cards and then having an energy for 6 or 7 or more, especially because it's styled for free, that also removed a couple cards in their discard pile. And this card was supposed to be like a debate between, like, okay, so I'm an energy deck, so I'm gonna play this over Heel Kick, but do I play this and Prep Crash, or do I play Prep Crash and not this, or this and not Prep Crash? But the way it was feeling, and in the usage that it has had for the last couple of months, this has just felt more correct than Prep Crash more often than not, because it's a secondary, it's free, and that wasn't quite what we wanted. So dropping the damage off of it, or the extra damage, at least brings it a little more in line. We want to keep an eye on this card, see if this makes it feel a little bit more with like the balance we were looking for. It wasn't supposed to replace Prep Crash or whatever. It was supposed to just be kind of, sometimes you want that one, sometimes you want this one, and we want that to be a debate you have to make. Frantic Restraint used to say your opponent's freestyle non-combat cards cannot be used for the remainder of combat. We have removed freestyle from it. This card has been almost entirely unplayable since it was printed, and removing freestyle means that you can now set up some much more interesting combos with this, which should make it a lot more desirable, even if it's just as a Sensei deck card, being able to turn off drill protection or something like that, and then be able to combo immediately into like Westkai to remove something or things like that. You can just start making some like much more effective board state decisions with this card. And that then takes us into the watch list and review. I kind of talked about this a little bit before, but as opposed to just doing these at like Christmas time every year, we're going to do a mid-year checkpoint as well. So in June each year, the Players kind of council staff will get together and kind of see if there's anything that feels like we need to address it more urgently than letting the rest of the year play out. As I said, with the focusing drill change, restrictions and errata are of course only subject to change if things are feeling that, if we have hit something too hard, we might revert on something. If we feel that something hasn't been hit hard enough, if it's continuing to prove to be too good, this is something that we will use to balance that back out, push it back in the right direction, one way or the other. The balance of, finding the balance of things is a tough process, and sometimes you overcorrect, sometimes you don't correct enough. This will hopefully help give us one more opportunity each year to kind of steer things in the right direction. We're also going to update the watch list tab in the Discord server. This has not been updated in a long time, and I would like to stay a little more on top of letting you guys know too what it is that we think is a concern. If it's more visible to everyone, people might make more informed decisions about teching against that stuff, or like identifying if they feel the same way, things like that. So it will just help with feedback and data collection and things like that. So hopefully implementing this kind of thing will just make this process a little smoother. That takes me then into what's next for NZ. We have been doing 2 sets a year every Christmas and so June 21st and December 25th. June 21st, Selfish Day, that's my birthday. It's right in the middle of the year, but I do a set on my birthday and I do a set on Christmas. So presents, both times a year that I get presents, you guys get presents too. That feels fun to me, so I'm going to continue to do releases that way. We were doing in the past like a 25 card set one time and then a 50 card set the next, kind of repeating back and forth. We're not going to do that going forward. We'll just do kind of more as we've done with the last couple sets here, where it's just like the number of cards in the set will just be the number that kind of feels right, as opposed to forcing ourselves into a specific number of cards to try to hit a quota that we've assigned to ourselves or whatever. This will help just make design and implementation of sets a little more organic. It won't force us to make design decisions that we don't necessarily feel as confident about just because we feel like a number had to be met or something like that. It should just make the process smoother and should help make the product that we're putting out as good as we can. You guys have answered pretty resoundingly that you'd like there to continue to be NZ sets, so fully expect that, of course. You have said that you are fine with the inclusion of Dragon Ball content, with the inclusion of Super content, with the inclusion of Z content. There were some of you who just said, like, I don't care what's on the cards, just new cards is cool. So we'll try to stay, obviously not real outlandish with it. There was an option on there like Dragon Ball Heroes stuff. Not a lot of you expressed much interest in that, so don't expect like a big Dragon Ball Heroes set around the corner or anything, unless things change pretty dramatically. But we'll keep going. I'm having a blast making this. I love working with the team. I love showing the stuff off to you guys and seeing what you come up with. It's been a blast to see the game continue to evolve as new cards come out. It keeps continuing to play this week after week after week for years, as fresh as it can, and helps keep things from feeling stale. So I will continue to give you guys new content as long as I am capable of doing so. And that's it. This video went really, really long. I apologize, but if you made it through all of it, thank you. Hopefully you played it on 1.5 speed or something and got through a little quicker. I apologize. At some point a couple slides ago, it appears the playlist playing in the background ran out of time, so we went without background music for a little bit here. I apologize, but thanks for hanging out. Thanks for an incredible 2025 season. I hope that the 2026 season is just as fun and just as exciting. I think we've got some great stuff in store. The new set that just dropped has some really exciting cards in it. I'm excited to see what you guys do with those in the first part of the year. And I love the league, man. I love you guys. This has been a blast. Thanks so much for sitting and listening to me yap for an hour. See you next time.